This is IBM Museum. Well, I got set up in front of the Mall 57. I was going to go through for this video since the IBM System Information Tool has an icon associated with the executable file that if it's installed where Windows is aware of it, or you have a shortcut from the Windows interface to the System Information Tool, it shows there, and you can go through and you can run it from Windows. I was wanting to go over that just as a comparison for how I'm going to go through and work with my program. One thing I did notice that once the video was over, that I didn't have any button there on that main window for the SCSI interface. And of course, the System Information Tool has that shown there, and for the malls that have SCSI on them, you click on them and it gives you information on the SCSI controller and things like that. Now, what I'll probably do is go through there and just gray it out for the malls that don't have SCSI. And I had to see from the Windows perspective for some of that might be a little bit challenging of grabbing some of the information to present from within Windows. But I just wanted to run through that System Information Tool. I've run it on Mall 57s before, in particular the 8557. I don't think I've run it on a 9557 or not, maybe a 9556 maybe. But I just wanted to show that from within Windows and show that icon and have a relatively conventional System Information Tool video that I could put in that playlist as well. But I went through to power this system on, and there was just no reaction at all from the power supply. And I do have other power supplies. I'll go through and I can get it switched in for a video of another day. But just to warn you, I mean, these power supplies do go out. I mean, even some of them are kind of very notorious for that. So I'll go through and have that video set up for another day. It's kind of a good thing I did move some things up here. I was going to even take some photos and do primarily a Facebook post over some of that content. I didn't plan for a video right away on some of that content. There's a lot of other stuff that's queued up for that, but I'll have to go through and revert to that. And the one thing that I'll do is, and I can probably, let me go through and switch to the camcorder. I've got the Model M keyboard up here, of course. And I'll go through and I'll take it down off the bench. And one of the items I had that I brought up is another keyboard. And I'll have to see, I might go through and since I have to kind of work with that unit anyway, let me go through and pause the video and get it cleared off the bench so I just have a little bit more room up there. Okay, yes indeed, that does give me a bunch more room. I'm even going to go through and I'll get off the internal webcam to just be on the camcorder here and try and get scooted in close enough to handle this. So I took down that other Model M keyboard and I put up this one, and you can see it pretty immediately from the labeling on it. KB for keyboard, 3270 plus, and it's micro to mainframe keyboard. And the one thing I did, of course, I went through and I marked out my address on the shipping label, but I was even looking to see if the shipping label had any kind of date or anything like that to make me aware of when I got this. And indeed it does. It has the 15th of September 2004. So we're coming up on the point of almost just about a week shy of the point 17 years ago where I got this keyboard sent to me. And of course, we can read on the outside of the box, micro to mainframe keyboard, positive tactile key response, ergonomic design for optimal user comfort, quality key switches guarantee long-term reliability, a 3-year limited warranty, and I think we're past all that, unlimited toll-free product support, and this is from Keytronic. I mean, this is a very well-known manufacturer of keyboards back in the day. It's got a comprehensive user's guide, and it gives a little bit of shows a little bit of that. Of course, we'll open up the box here in a moment. Plug compatibility, ideal for use with IBM PC, XT, AT, PS2 models, and compatible computers. And so they probably have a keyboard adapter plug. And 122 key layout, just like the standard IBM terminals. And 3270 terminal legends on the keycaps provide quick access to commonly used terminal functions. Also includes 24 function keys used at the wide range of micro to mainframe applications. Allows you to easily select emulation modes for popular 3270 packages. Allows you to reprogram all 122 keys for compatibility with any application. You may assign multiple keystrokes or functions to a single key. And then it says keyboard memory eliminates the need for memory consuming keyboard drivers. And then I guess down here it does have an asterisk. After PS2 models, it does have an asterisk and says requires PS2 cable adapter kit. And that's just simply 5-pin DIN to 6-pin mini DIN. And so the 3270 is an IBM keyboard type. And of course, there's, for the PCs, there are emulation programs where you make your nice, expensive computer behave like a inexpensive terminal. And I did go through, I've got a number of these around. Of course, I have many, many more. But I did go through and I did put in the big 5-pin DIN to 6-pin for the PS2s. And this is brand new. I mean, I didn't go through. I knew what the box was. I dusted it off. And just didn't even peek inside to be aware that that was in there as well. I must have put that in there some years ago. And IRMA 101 compatible key tops, KTC part number 64146640001. And we have, and that does have my address on it as well. So just an invoice. Oh, okay. So let's do this. Even folding down. I didn't even have to look at. Yeah, we just need that bottom part of the page. And quantity 1, IBM font card for 4019 and 4029 laser printer. I must have set that aside. I got that from the same seller. New 8 megabyte and 4 megabyte 72-pin memory for IBM computers. and it's listed as a for the font card. It's listed as $1.50. The 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 lot of new 8 megabyte and 4 megabyte 72 pin memory for IBM computers listed as being $1.50. New Keytronic keyboard, KB 3270 plus micro to mainframe keyboard, listed there as a dollar on the paper. So and it's so the FedEx portion of the keyboard is $10 to ship it. For the memory, $7 to ship it. So it must have been quite a bit of memory modules, and then the font cartridge being $1 to ship. So FedEx made more money on this. This is $4 of items back then. And so altogether, the $4 for the subtotal, the shipping and handling of $18. So the total was $22 for all those items. So this keyboard was $1 off of eBay back in the day. And I responded a lot of times and picked up things when I saw a value. But I do have an interest. I mean, this is a new thing, and I mean that's brand new manual. Doesn't have the binder, but it's punched, and the full new user guide. This is a loose sheet, so I mean this needs to be scanned. This will be easy. In fact, this will be easy for me to scan. And this, you know, it's a sealed diskette pack still, version 1.50, and have to make sure that that's good. But I mean, I don't have any worry for where this is stored or anything else of electromagnetic fields or anything like that happening to affect that. But it's good that I still have my tweener system out here. Go through and image that. I intended to put that away. So, and then this keyboard is brand new. I mean, I don't even think I've brought this out of the box before to look at this. And this has got it's got some heft to it. And I mean, it's not Model M, but that it's not a bad feel to that. And then underneath the bottom, and a little switch block for changing the configuration around. And I mean, it looks like it's got, I think this is like just little styrofoam pieces or something else, the foam pieces. This thing has just never been used. There's your Keytronic accessories. We'll keep that card out so we can go over that in a moment. And I was even intending to go over more stuff that I brought up here. And it looks like I went through and this is probably around the manual. Looks like I went through and unbagged that at one time. So, but I didn't go through at any point and really work with the keyboard. It's got even a protection plug on that little cap, plastic cap, and the cord's still in that plastic with twist ties and everything else. That is just that's amazing. That's and I need to look through on the maybe I can find on the SIF group, since I even am a little bit aware of the date. I can talk. Maybe I'll have some chatter there that I went through and talked about getting this unit, getting the keyboard for $1 off of eBay, and new in box. that just is, that's just amazing to me. And so that'll be something to nice to use at some point in my terminal emulation setups. And I want to see, like I say, I brought up other things. There's no problem quickly going over things. We're at 15 minutes. And then I have the Personal Communications 3270, and this is direct from IBM. Look, price $10. And I'm not sure exactly where I got this. This is dusty as well. But mask the complexity of your applications, Personal Communications /3270, version 3.1, 3.5 disk. And this is probably to the point where it was set up to work on PS2s. And I'll get to that in just a moment with some of the other items. And I have that box down off at my feet because it's got my address more prominently on it. Personal Communications, and it's emulation beyond expectation. Combined mainframe power and desktop productivity. Personal Computer /3270 version 3.1 lets you access the host mainframe from more locations more efficiently with more function than ever before. Running as a native DOS or Windows application, IBM PC /3270 does more than merely allow PCs to emulate IBM 3270 display terminals, transfer files with the host, automate processes via the emulator APIs, and that's Application Program Interface, and function as a LAN gateway. There's new connectivity support, including IPX/SPX, and in parentheses, NetWare for SAA, TCP/IP, and in parentheses, Telnet 3270, and enhanced async support for out-of-office connectivity. Because you could have emulator adapters that were remote, connected through modems, even on leased lines to connect up to the mainframe in another location. You'll find new support for the latest technologies like the latest modems, conforming to CCITT 32 V.32 BIS and or V.42 BIS and PCMCIA. And then PC 3270 version 3.1 is easier to use and more powerful than ever before. Support for Visual Basic and Word for Windows, providing the ability to build PC-based graphical interfaces to existing host applications, has been added along with many other functions, such as the ability to append to the clipboard. And that'll come in handy with my Visual Basic. And I do even have on that Model 57, I do have the full Office package for that Windows 3.1 version from back in the day. And it goes through for all the function overviews and a lot of things. It's kind of interesting. And it's copyright IBM Corporation 1989 and 1993. And so, runs with NetWare, yes. So it's certified. And then for the PC DOS symbol that IBM started using, Microsoft Windows compatible. Important, IBM program license agreement is inside this package. Hardware requirements, system unit can be an IBM PS2, PS Value Point, PC AT, and then they've got the number 1, PCXT, and asterisk number 1, or selected non-IBM systems. Selected non-IBM systems. IBM's making the determination of if your computer is not an IBM and whether it's compatible with this. 384 kilobyte of memory minimum for DOS mode, 4 megabyte of memory minimum for Windows mode. Minimum memory requirements depend on number and type of sessions and connections used. And then they've got all jumbled together 1.44 megabyte disk drive hard disk. Supported hardware, IBM and selected non-IBM adapter cards, systems, printers, modems, including credit card adapters, PCM-CIA. Software requirements, DOS 3.3 or higher, Microsoft Windows version 3.0 or version 3.1. So this would go nice on that Model 57 too, once I replace the power supply. Related software, IBM LAN support program version 1.2 or higher, IBM TCP IP version 2.1 for DOS, Novell NetWare for SAA, IBM OS2 version 2 or version 2.1 for MVDM or WinOS2, IBM Network Transport Services /2 version 1. Okay. And in here, you know, ultimately brand new, and showing how the keys and other things. There's your conventional 84 key keyboard, your personal computer XT keyboard. There's the 122 key keyboard, like that Keytronic unit is. There's like your 101 key keyboard. So that's like the quick reference for entry-level DOS mode. Okay. Quick reference for full function DOS mode. Jumping between sessions, file transfer commands, a lot of other stuff. And then again with the keyboard diagrams. And quick reference for Windows mode. Okay. And they even show the icons that you'd have under Windows. Starting multiple sessions. And then with your keyboard layouts again. Okay, and 3 bigger books. You can hear me going through and opening these books for the first time since they were placed in this box. I looks like I didn't even leaf through these before. Windows mode, full function DOS mode. This is even nice for little windows. How it shows. Full function DOS. Proof of license. Huh. Just cardstock that's labeled, and it doesn't really have anything otherwise like you'd expect from a later Microsoft certificate of authenticity COA. License information. Alternative disc media that you could order. And we've got some FRUs, be a nice little reference. And here we've got, with even the punch for the binder holes. And we have got all kinds of languages in here. And then our software packs. And this is still sealed. It's got, it looks like it had a label that peeled away. I'll have to look in the box. This is typical for the labels. They just lose their sticky and slip. But this is the pull tab for that. And it feels like 2 or 3 diskettes in there. Another pack. This doesn't have anything about a label there. And still sealed. And it feels like 3, maybe 4 diskettes in there. And then this one probably has 4 or 5 diskettes. And still entirely sealed. And I'm going to disappoint you because I'm not going to open these at the time. This is just a real quick review that I had to jump into when the system doesn't work like expected. But this will be really nice. I mean, I could have even a system, even a PS2 system with Windows like that Model 57, and could go through and connect up that keyboard. So it's even appropriate a little bit to that. Lastly, again, with a look at the time, still a little bit under a half hour, which is fine. And I had these separated by, I've got these at least initially. These are 8-bit bus, and these are probably what they call the SLDC adapters, I believe. And this is a later unit. I mean, IBM did surface mount. These, I think with the box that they were in, the cardboard box, it was just where they got, they're coated in dust. There's a little bit of jumper settings. But this will be good to document IBM part number. And you can even probably read it as much as I can. And and that's marked with an Intel. And my guess is a lot of time for the emulation, at least on the 5250 adapters, this was an 8085 chip. And that PIMP, that's the MP is probably multi-processor. And but I'll bet you that's with the copyright date of 1976, I'll bet you that's an 8085 processor. It's a good overlay. And of course you can see the UART 16550 UART chip. And then there's another Intel, is that like an interrupt? 82 C55. Oh, okay, so it's 8255. Even in that, I haven't seen it in the package like that before. I've always seen the 40-pin A255s, but a little bit more modern of board for that. These might be the effectively the older version to that. Okay. So there's an 8255 there. And then there's an 8273. And also like an interrupt 8253. Yeah, interrupt controller. So these might be, with the jumpers and me pairing these in, I'll bet you this is an older, that's the older version, and the other one is the newer version. Upgrade chips, and I mean, much more modern surface mount. And even the, look at this, the outlay of the chips is different. This is going to be just an absolute goldmine for going through and documenting these. And IBM did that all the time. I mean, they took orientations of chips, A273, and the 8255 once again, and then that interrupt controller, the 8253. And see, this is unusual too, for them going through and flipping, not having a common pin 1 orientation for the chips. Although all the chips here are, of course, soldered. And that's effectively kind of like a serial type of connection, ultimately through a lot of the time a modem. But these are probably the SLDC adapters is what I'd expect. And bodge wires on the back of that. Again, all the dust. I'll have to take a brush over these. That version doesn't have the bodge wires. And of course, the later ones do not either. But I can go through and I'll look at dates and everything else for scanning these. So this is kind of like the remote. I think that was like a remote link a lot of the time through a modem. And I do have a number. And these are even relatively common on eBay. I still see these come up on eBay. That's a 3270 emulation board, and that's a short version. That's 16-bit microchannel. And I've got a bunch of adapters here. I don't know if I'm going to go through and necessarily dig through. And the 3270, this is true over on the ISA bus, that they went through and they had short cards and long cards and things like that. All kinds of material. These are DCA chips, and even for them being microchannel, they're kind of that reversed. The adapter is flipped and has more of the components on effectively that where the adjacent adapter would be. Just one of those odd things. I had the two of those. 16-bit microchannel still. Those DCA adapters. So those are third party, and those are pretty common on the IBM thing, where they would be third party adapters, and kind of showing the same convention. This, wow, and that's really dusty on that side. But again, it's reversed adapter style. Has the components on this one side, and you see the similarities of the connectors, and not quite the same chips and things like that, but just, you know, the 8-bit version for ISA systems, and that's marked as graph interface. Who knows for that connector. But the similarities between the ISA and the microchannel boards that manufacturers did, I'll probably just show this just briefly. This is again a later board. I still see these on eBay a lot. And instead of the separate boards, now we have a reversible board. And it's microchannel on one side and just about almost in the power section off the 16-bit section, power taps. But most of that's all in the 8-bit section. It looks like just power for that 16-bit section. And then the 8-bit, and you went through and you reversed the brackets, you know, pulled the tab off and reversed the back to kind of turn it over. And there you've got the RJ11 or RJ12 style connection and the coax connector. And I've got some without the tab on the front, but I've got a number of those, and even have them to where they're marked with different. It looks like they're marked with different adapter IDs probably, and I can't remember the thing about that. If there's some jumper switch settings or something else that you ended up ultimately changing, it ended up where you needed a different adapter description file. Oh, and here's the, well, that's marked as IBM. So that's a blue tab off of one of the IBM adapters. Some of the DCA diskette IRMA. There's still shank wrapped IRMA 3 convertible. That was referring to that whatever particular board as they went through different versions. And then the logo they had, the DCA with the dots inside the D and the C even. And read this first. Okay, what's included, what's not included, and the hardware, and then even a business reply envelope. A little bit of the product list for the DCA stuff. And that was just the section of the box that I hit. There's Attachmate, which is a third-party brand, the same sort of style. They had to warn you, don't plug your phone into that for those connection styles. But very, very similar, you know, chip levels and everything else. They're 16-bit microchannel. Now I do have a little bit of these anti-static wraps. Okay, and for the Attachmate, here is the 8-bit version compared to the microchannel version. So same, does the same relative things, and I've got two of those, and even to interesting of a chip unmasking, as it were, again. That's got the Attachmate chip, or chip that they've branded in the carrier there as Attachmate, and given it a model number and everything else. And then you can see on there from NCR. And they go through and give, you know, this is probably an earlier version of the board. You can see some of the differences of colors and things like that really didn't matter in the end when they were. And I don't know if that T1 stamp means that basically the level that these are at, the version or anything like that. but that's kind of neat to see the microchannel compared to the ISA. Some of these are a little bit dusty. Bracket is loose on that one. I don't know if that's IBM or some other brand. And then I do know that is what would necessarily probably be a longboard equivalent. Although the electronic section is not much longer than this one. But this is an IBM adapter here. I know by the recognition, and there's again your bodge wire. Interesting that's, you know, the chips are marked on that reverse side, and we've seen that in other areas. There might be a comment that I'll be getting on the video about that. But those are IBM adapter. Oh, that's what it was. I thought it was a little bit weird, but that's the broken plastic tab. And then there's a Toshiba chip, and this is, again, as you can see from the FRU on there, this is an IBM adapter, and this is the very early style, and this is the long adapter. And I don't think there's anything. There will be when everything is through of getting documentation on these boards. I don't think there's anything on the necessarily for the Ardent tool at this point. And these just have the coax connectors. There's another one without the tab on the front of it. Same Toshiba chip, long board. And this one is less dusty, but another one of that same style. And I think I was even seen these the other day. There's another one. So I've even got multiple boards of these. And looks like pretty much all the same layout between all of those. At least we're getting into the IBM adapters. There's another short version. And trying to handle these carefully enough. But you can even see the short versions from IBM. A difference of sometimes consolidating things into a larger chip. Texas Instruments. And there's a Toshiba chip on there, just like that older shiny chip that's there. But I mean, these things had revision levels too. And I want to see for the last of. Okay, there's another attachmate 8-bit board. There's another, and then of course the little phone icon of the attachmate running loose there, so we'll drop it on that board, marking that RJ11 jack, or not to use your phone on it. But there's another short adapter of the one style, another one of the other style, and this looks, had to see, there looks to be a little bit of corrosion on that one. And that's that double chip. And enough to document things. There's one of that style with the single chip again. And that's Okay. This one's tucked away in a static bag, dual chip. Even has an EC level marked on it. Probably a date code, that 9131, probably the 31st week of 1991. So they were still producing these, I mean, at that time frame. That looks relatively new in there compared to like that other adapter having corrosion and these things having dust. This is kind of the lucky one off in an anti-static bag. I think I'll pull up the remaining. Oh, there's even the 3.5 inch diskette of that same style for the 5 1/4 that was there for that Irma. Yeah, and these are just remaining of the short adapters, looking like all with the single chip. So I've got several of those, and I'll organize all those at some point. And okay, another broken tab for some reason. And there's another longboard. And another short one, single chip. So that may have been more common for that. Markings on the back of the chips on the component side. And from there, I just have another third party. Even have a big black chip on it. And this is just probably some odd third party adapter that was close to design. I mean, no idea of those jumper sayings, at least for the more conventional cards. It's probably, there'll be a way to figure out those jumpers. So that's all the adapters. I don't know why. There's another part of a, seemingly for some of these, and it looks like there's some residue on there. It looks like I tried to glue them. Some glue residue. Didn't stick. And then there's what they call a media converter, going from the coax to that, even almost more like a RJ45. Although there's some RJ styles that are they do get wider and have more pins, 8 pins and things like that. Looks like 6 there for that. But that's a collection of the 3270 adapters. I did not really expect that I would have to get in this. I thought I had my content up that I was going to be able to do tonight, but thankfully I'm just able to react and run with it. Otherwise, I know that this video will get some attention in some circles for the mainframe and mini group on Facebook. Undoubtedly will get some interest. And this is all the 3270 emulation side. I haven't got into the 5251 emulation. That's the mini computers, System 34, System 36, System 38, and the AS400s that use twin-ax connectors, although they did go over other media too. But if you see twin-ax, it was the 5250 terminals that went through and used those. And I do have a number of terminals and all sorts of stuff in that as well. But I haven't got into the 5250 emulation yet. That'll be another time pulling that stuff up here, and then If I have some content that I can't produce, and I drop those in for even more material. So it looks like we've gone to, I'm not able to read, I think it's at 40, well, I'm not able to, I think it's just shy of an hour. And that's probably as long as I want to go here. If you enjoyed this content, click on that like button, please. And by all means, click on subscribe. It's all that varied content that you've seen in the past and will continue to see. And we're growing in subscribers. Maybe this video will pull in more people that are interested in this sort of stuff. But that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.